On this week's episode of the Feels Like 99 podcast, we're going to be discussing the Tennessee Titans' 22-21 victory over the Kansas City Chiefs, the changing perception of the Titans in the national media, and also preview this week's game against the New England Patriots. But before we get to all that, we would like to bring to you a special word from one of the Titans' biggest supporters, Mr. Dan Katz, aka Big Cat. So Big Cat, take it away.
I would like all Titans fans out there to say thank you to me for motivating your team to finally win a game and stop being a bunch of losers. Tighten up!
There are no flags on the field! It's a miracle! Tennessee has pulled a miracle!
Welcome into the Feels Like 99 podcast, the home of your 10-7 Tennessee Titans. I'm your host, Drake Kizer, and I am joined as always by my co-host, Caleb Waters.
Episode number 9, the Steve McNair episode, aka the Steve McNair studio, which we are no longer in. Unfortunately, we are getting ready to go back to our respective universities and more importantly, get ready for this super important divisional Titans game.
I'm very excited for both of those developments. I think this is going to be a very important semester for both of us. I know like the second semester of sophomore year is where things like really get going for everybody in that college life. So I know we're both kind of moving up in the world and everything, but subsequently the Titans are also moving up in the world, and it's crazy to me that we are one of the last 8 teams remaining.
But what's even crazier is the fact that we're not getting the respect that we deserve.
I know it's really been a lot of not backlash, I wouldn't say, because most people are pretty supportive of the Titans. I think that some people just really thought that the Chiefs were going to kind of blow us off the field. I mean, they were pretty heavy favorites. I saw where the line was around 7.5, 8 points, but it had actually moved down a little bit closer to kickoff. When the line moves, that means that somebody's betting the other way. You know what I mean? So it seemed to me like a few more people were buying in on the Titans closer to kickoff.
And they really should have been, especially the way that they played against Jacksonville the week before, even though it wasn't a great game, and they still kind of imposed their will. So I still thought, that line was not fair to the Titans, but I mean, what does my opinion matter to the bettors and stuff,
To me, the playoff lines are just way too big. Like, if I was a betting man, I would be all over the NFL playoffs because the lines are just huge. I mean, I would take the under in almost every single game.
Oh, absolutely.
Did you see that Randy Moss was the only person on ESPN on like their little panel and the fan vote and all that other stuff that actually picked the Titans to win?
Dude, I did, and more importantly, I saw him shout us out after the game, and that made me
I saw that too.
Made me really actually kind of happy. So, it's kind of going a little off topic of what Drake just said. I just saw a stat on Twitter. I don't know if this is real or not, but apparently there were 1 million votes. I'm not sure where this is coming from. 1 million votes on do you want to see the Titans beat the Patriots? 66% said yes, 34% no. There were 5 total states that picked the Patriots: Maine, Rhode Island, Vermont, Massachusetts, and I don't know the last one actually. I don't know. I mean, 45 states chose the Titans.
All the little states in that geographic region of the Patriots basically picked the Patriots. The entire rest of the country decided that they would rather see the Patriots out of the playoffs and the Titans moving on. I think that's more to do about the just general being tired of the Patriots always winning, always being in the Super Bowl, always having success and things like that. I think people are just tired of the same old. I mean, you see the same backlash against the Warriors or when the Yankees are good or just any big market team like that. People just get tired of them.
And it's hard not to. Even like I don't even watch women's basketball, but the UConn women's basketball team, I am so tired of seeing them win. I don't even watch them.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it just diminishes the whole sport. Like, that's why I've fallen out of the NBA so much. Like, yeah, I still watch a little bit of the finals, but I used to watch even more of like the playoffs and the regular season. But now it's just like, okay, every single year for the past 3 or 4 years, like Cavaliers and Warriors, and I'm just like, man, I'm just tired of this.
But anyways, let's take a peek back to last Saturday night where the Tennessee Titans came back to defeat the Kansas City Chiefs.
It was an absolutely crazy game. Like, I remember in that first half when we got down and Travis Kelce was just going off, and you know they had a few key drops in their first couple of drives. I'm like, man, those are really going to come back to bite them. I feel like, but I feel like they were really kind of clicking on all cylinders, and we were not at all. And eventually, what happened is, as time went on, the Titans do what they do best, and they just kind of wore them down, kept running the ball. And when it came down to the second half, I do think that knocking Travis Kelce out of the game really did change the game completely, because the Titans will let any tight end that faces up against them anytime absolutely just tear them apart. And so taking that big receiving threat out of the equation really helped us out. But I feel like in the second half, especially, they didn't give the running back any carries at all. None. I don't understand what the deal was with giving him no carries.
Literally, dude, the thing that loses teams the game. Last year in the Super Bowl, all the Falcons had to do was hand it off a couple of times. No, they decided to throw it instead. Saturday, they could have done the same thing. In the national championship on Monday, all Georgia had to do was run the ball a couple of times. They probably would have won.
I just don't get why teams move away from what brings them success, maybe even brought them success in the same game, and then they go away from it in the same game. Like, I just don't understand. That would have been like if the Titans, during the middle of their comeback, would have just been like, this up-tempo stuff that we've been doing is really working, but we're going to stop that and do something else now. Like, that makes no sense.
It wouldn't shock me if that happened if Robisky was calling the plays, but lucky for us, he's not.
See,
or didn't Saturday, I should say.
Well, you never know how much those kind of reports are true. You know what I mean? Like, who called what or who did this, but eventually it just seems to me like we just wore them down, and they could not stop us when it mattered, and Marcus Mariota really, really stepped up.
And that's so good to see, because he's in his third year, and he's been hurt all year. So it's finally, like we said last week, it was his coming out party. He played great, and I don't know if this is true, I think you've heard this too, that Marcus called all the plays on offense. I don't know if it's true, but if he did, he needs to be the offensive coordinator, because he had the perfect balance between run and pass. He knew when to audible in and out of plays. That long Derrick Henry touchdown run, he audibled into it out of a bad play.
Which is exactly what needed to happen. That's the kind of confidence I need to see from him.
Absolutely. I mean, when you have a confident Marcus back there, he's just as good as any quarterback in the league, if you ask me. I don't know, what the experts will say. They'll probably say, oh, he throws that pick. But
I think that you could tell, especially in that second half, once we got down, it was the same situation as it's been in the past couple weeks, where Marcus was allowed to he was allowed to call plays like 3 or 4 groups at a time and basically go hurry up.
Dude, and I can't believe it's taken him so long to do that. I don't understand.
Well, my thing is, like, to me, that is more difficult than getting a signal or whatever else, or listening in your radio or whatever, and calling a play every single time. No, there's no time to stop. You've got to be smart enough to remember, groups of play calls all at one time, communicate them to the offense, get every single person in position without a lot of time to kind of think about it and prepare every play. That's more difficult. So people knock Mariota for, he runs that stuff like he did at Oregon or whatever. That's more complicated than a pro-style offense.
Some teams in the NFL shun that so bad that it just doesn't even make sense.
Well, it doesn't make sense because whatever works for your quarterback is what works, regardless of what anyone else thinks, or oh, he can't throw, or whatever else, or he's not a mobile quarterback if he's that kind of guy, or whatever. Like, whatever works for your guy is whatever's going to work. Like, you're not out there to impress anybody.
That kind of stuff will never sit well with me because we didn't really do it. I mean, we did it, in Marcus's rookie year. We did stuff that we knew he could do, and then Malarkey comes in and it kind of goes away from it and then comes back into it.
Well, I think now he's more realizing that I don't know that he was ever like not all in on Mariota, but like now he realizes that he's got to kind of like hitch his entire coaching tenure here on this guy, because if he doesn't work out, then he's not going to work out here. So this is our quarterback. This is our guy that we drafted really high and invested a lot in. So either you can build your offense around him and suit what we do to his needs, or you'll get fired and someone else will. It's pretty much the ultimatum that I feel like he senses around him now.
So going off what you said, would you say that Malarkey reports going in all week saying that if they lose, he's done? Do you think that he put his job security and trust and gave it to Marcus?
I do think that the reports of him being fired if we lose are 100% true, because I don't think it was any coincidence that ownership and John Robinson or anyone had not given him any type of support or vote of confidence or anything like that. The only time that came is once we had already won the game, at which point you're not going to fire a guy that just won a playoff game. Like you're not going to do it. So I feel like going into that game, he even said in the post-game press conference, like, I just feel like I didn't have the support, and, my players wanted me here, but I didn't know if anybody else did, and things like that. I think that he had full trust and faith in all of his guys, including Marcus, like you said, and kind of did allow him to take it into his own hands, because he feels like those guys have his back and his quarterback has his back to such a level that he can trust him.
What the most impressive thing to me was, how in the world does Marcus catch and throw his own touchdown pass?
That was the wildest play I've ever seen. I really cannot even still understand how that happens, or logistically, like how he makes that work. He throws it coming across out of the backfield there. It gets batted down. And the weird part is, not only does he catch it, but he's also like mid leap and touches the pylon. Like, man, that was
And
something
he got
you'll never
pushed.
see again.
I mean, it was crazy because he got shoved by the defender on top of all what you just said. But I don't know, man. I know I don't think it was a reviewable play, but dude, on broadcast, I thought it was like 2 yards past the line. It felt like.
Yeah, I almost didn't think it was going to be a legal play. Like, I thought he was past the line of scrimmage too.
Yeah, I'm not complaining though. I guess. I mean.
Yeah, if he's got the awareness of where the line of scrimmage is, then hey, if you can make a play like that, then go out there and do it. Take control.
And luckily for us, he did it. And dude, it's just like a whole nother team came out there in the second half.
I just don't understand why we have to wait until the second half to do that. I really don't understand what the deal is. You know what I mean? Like, why do we get down so big in these games?
I don't know, man. It's just, I guess they're just that kind of team. But before long, it could happen Saturday. If they fool around and don't play well in the first half, it could be over by then.
Well, that's the thing. I feel like as much as, we're going to talk more about the Patriots in depth, but as much as people want to say, oh, they're having problems and things like that, man, they're still one of those teams that if you get down 14-0 in the first quarter, like, you're done. Like, they're not going to let that big of a comeback happen.
So speaking of quarterbacks having a coach's back, all the drama surrounding the New England Patriots this week and last week, are you buying any of it?
I would say I'm buying at least a little bit. How much are you buying?
I don't know. I think it could be real, but if it's not, it might just be fuel to the fire for them, unfortunately.
I feel like all this talk from both sides, because all this stuff going on with the Patriots while they've been getting their bye week and not having to play and everything like that has probably fueled their fire a little bit. Oh, everybody thinks that they're done and that their time is over and that Belichick and Kraft and Brady hate each other and everything like that. But then also, the Titans are just getting blatantly disrespected in the media.
Going off of what you said, I was already going to say this, but you gave me a great lead to say it. Dan Shaughnessy, the Boston Globe, has been ripping the Titans like we're some peewee team. He posted an article yesterday at about noon, and it said, "Forget the Titans; they have no chance versus the Patriots." Let's see what else. He's also tweeted 3 days ago, Titans at Gillette Saturday. Patriots first team in NFL history awarded back-to-back bye weeks before the AFC Championship. Are you kidding me?
See, that's
Can
just
you believe
blatant disrespect.
this guy? I think he looks like he's 80 years old, and he looks like he's a freaking melting snowman. I mean, come on, dude. I don't care how long you've been writing, who you write for, who you've covered. I don't care. If anybody wrote something like that was a Titans beat writer, like if Paul Kaharski wrote something like that, he never would, because he has respect for people.
Well,
And
that's
if
the
we
thing,
ever wrote something like that, the national media would go insane.
Yeah, could you imagine if something like that was being written about, Belichick or Brady or one of them? Like, that would be put out on front pages everywhere. But since it's the Titans, it seems like that there's just no accountability for that kind of thing. Whenever the small time teams get put on blast like that by the big time reporters, it's like no one cares.
Dude, it's just so frustrating. And you know what? I know the Titans are seeing it, and I guarantee you it's fueling their fire. Yeah, there's no way they can't see it. Because players have said before, they hear the outside noise surrounding Marcus and how he plays. And I know Marcus and Malarkey hear it. They've got to use this as fuel, man. And I know they're going to make the best of this opportunity to go up to Gillette Stadium. And, I think they're going to beat the Patriots, man. I really do. I just think the Patriots are having kind of one of those off years, and then especially with this news coming out that we were just talking about, this Patriots dynasty could very well be over with the loss of the Titans.
Well, I'm telling you right now, like we were talking about the other day when we were kind of texting about this, the Patriots / Belichick, Brady, all this stuff would absolutely self-destruct with a loss to the Titans. And that's no disrespect to the Titans. That's just one of those things for a team like that to lose to a team like us at this point in time would just signal a kind of changing of the guard, because I've read this stat and I've seen it so many times. This is the biggest age disparity between two starting quarterbacks in NFL playoff history. Tom Brady is 40 years old and Marcus Mariota is 24. If that doesn't show you right there that if we could win, that we're moving into the future and they're staying in the past, then I don't know what does. And for Bill Belichick to kind of catch his last, this would almost show man, can he keep up anymore? And he's disgruntled about having to trade Garoppolo and Brissett too. People forget about that. They got rid of Brissett too. So I don't know. I feel like that with a loss to the Titans, it really might seal their fate.
I hope it does, man. You texted me this the other day. It was really funny that Tom Brady's got a freaking witch doctor over there, coaching him up, man.
It's Guerrero, and I'm like, if I was a guy like Tom Brady or a guy in any organization who my boss was the best that there'd ever been, do you think I'd listen to anybody else but him? That's just ridiculous to me.
I mean, it's just, I don't even understand, man, all the drama that's going on. And hopefully it benefits the Titans, but at the same time, it could be benefiting, they're going to deny all the reports of that, the whole feud going on with Kraft. Well, as the last say, it's Robert Kraft.
Oh, yeah, it definitely is, because I think the biggest story of all of this is the fact that for whatever reason, Robert Kraft is following more with the player than the coach, when in all honesty, mathematically speaking, the coach is going to be or could be with the team in theory much longer than this quarterback. Because even if Tom Brady miraculously somehow plays until he's 45, which I'll go on record right now as saying I don't think is even physically possible to play in the NFL at quarterback till you're 45. But even if that does happen 5 more years, I mean, in 5 more years, Bill Belichick will still be only about 70 years old. So I mean, look at Dick LeBeau and how long that he's been still coaching now. I mean, just how many more years you could get out of Belichick than you could get out of Brady, but it seems like he's siding with the opposite thinking.
I don't even know what's going on up there. I hope it's true. I hope it's, always running through Tom Brady's mind. I hope it's running through Belichick's mind because he's the kind of guy that it wouldn't shock me. This is no disrespect to him. This is just a kind of my opinion on something he might do. It wouldn't shock me if he was down, if we were beating them in the fourth quarter and for some reason he took over play calling and just kind of intentionally lost the game for them.
He's
just
a very
because
vindictive guy like that.
Exactly. That's why I just think it wouldn't shock me whatsoever.
Well, plus two, I've seen a lot of, it's kind of died down over the week, but especially right after we won the game, some people were saying, oh, well, now the Titans are going to stick with Malarkey and it might set them back for years and years because if they had just lost this game that they ended up winning by 1 point or whatever, then they would have fired Malarkey and they would have hired Josh McDaniels. I don't know. I mean, do I think that he's a terrible coach? No. But I just don't picture him as the savior, I guess, that other people do. Do I think he would do well here and that he would help Marcus out in his development? I'm sure he would. But I don't know. Some people are just painting him out to be like he's going to be the next Bill Belichick. I'm like, this dude's already had a job and really didn't do too well.
Yeah, he's kind of almost a failed NFL coach, if you think about it. I mean,
it was his first try, but yeah, you're right.
And sometimes it only takes one chance for guys. Almost kind of like Malarkey was almost in that same situation. But who are you picking this Saturday for this game, Titans versus Patriots?
I'm gonna go ahead and pick the Titans just because. One person that has really been talking good about us in the national media lately, the other day on Good Morning Football, it was Nate Burleson. They used to play for the Seahawks, Lions for a little bit, Browns at the very end of his career. He was really talking about how the Titans needed to be more respected and highly regarded for everything that they've been doing. And actually, we're going to let the listeners listen in for just a quick second here and listen to Burleson's comments about the Titans.
Well, let's talk about those Titans, though, because they deserve our respect. And we were talking about the postseason, and we have recency bias here. And what we don't do is look at a full resume of the regular season, which you're not supposed to do in the postseason. It is a brand new season. It's literally a brand new year. And right now, the Titans are in this thing. And as much as we were talking about Mariota and a couple weeks before him being on Angry Run, my man is reinventing himself in this postseason. Over the last couple weeks, he has proved to be a guy that can put the team on his back. We were looking at Cam yesterday. He tried to do it. He didn't turn out well. We're looking at Tyrod Taylor. We were waiting in that game like, Tyrod, just take over, man. If you got to drop back and run every down, do that. There were moments in this game where Mariota said, we will not lose. And with that type of mentality and guys jumping off the sideline, barking in his face like he's a linebacker after a big hit, I don't care what you say. They got a shot going into New England.
So as you guys heard just then, Burleson was saying that he really thinks that the Titans have a great chance in New England. And I would definitely say I'm on the same page as him because I really think that the Patriots have not seen a running back like Derrick Henry in the past few weeks anyway. And I think that their defense has a few holes in it that the Titans are going to be able to exploit. I think most of that is going to come through in the sense that our defenses, both of them, like the Patriots and the Titans, match up pretty evenly as far as scoring-wise. I think that the Patriots will neutralize our scoring a little bit, but I think that our defense will take full advantage of their – it's not like a makeshift offensive line. They haven't had injuries or anything like that. I just don't think that their offensive line is anything to write home about. I'll say that. So I think that we're going to be able to get into the backfield, maybe hinder their running game a little, hopefully be able to get to Tom Brady some because that's what you've got to do to hurt him getting the ball out fast. And I think that they're going to give us a little bit of trouble with the passing game. I don't know that Marcus is going to have a huge game through the air. I think it's really going to come down to will Derrick Henry or Marcus Mariota, like running and scrambling out and things like that, are they going to be able to make a big enough impact through the ground game? As the game goes on, will we be in the position to match with them in points? because they do have a pretty good differential as far as not allowing people to score a lot of points. And that's obviously been the Titans' weakest spot all year, is that we score just enough points to win. You know what I mean? Like, we give up a lot, but we score just enough, win by 1 point or whatever. So I just want to know if our offense is going to be able to put up the kind of numbers to keep pace with them. But like you're saying, they've had a slower year, and I really, really think that this could be not only Malarkey's like career-defining game, but if Marcus goes out there and has another performance like the ones he's been having the past couple weeks, I really think that this could be his career-defining performance to this point.
So what would you say your final prediction would be?
I would say final score 24-21.
I can agree with that. I picked the Titans in this one. I don't know why. I have that kind of feeling. I think a lot of other people do too. Some national writers, some not. Something that I saw that was pretty interesting to me, the 2010 Jets. It might have been 2009 Jets. Do you remember when they had Sanchez and LT?
I think on both of those teams, they went to 2 straight AFC Championship games.
That's right. So they got beat. They beat the Patriots like 14-10 one game, and then the next game at New England, they got beat 52-3. But I had this weird feeling about the game. Complete confidence in everything that we're going to do. And I think if Adoree doesn't muff any punts, and if we don't match up guys to like we did like Adoree Jackson on Tyreek Hill, that's a problem, and it got exposed for us. As long as we stick to what we're doing on defense and play the football that they played Saturday against the Chiefs, and Marcus comes out and has a big day, I think we're doing good. But you know what the deciding factor for me was? It was the fact that they're wearing the powder blue pants. That's the sealer.
I do like that look. I think that is one of our best. If we're not going to be able to wear our home stuff, that probably is our best road look.
I think it's the best one. I think it's the best one we've got. I think it's better than the all navy. I think it's better than the color rush. Looks good, especially with like the navy accents on sleeves and cleats and stuff, especially with the socks. You can't beat it.
It does. It looks very nice. It's very clean, simple. Unlike a lot of our other combinations that are maybe not quite so simple, look a little more 90s. This one's actually relatively modern.
And not to mention, it'll be the third week in a row that they've worn the powder pants. They beat the Jaguars wearing them, and then they beat the Chiefs wearing them, and now we're going to New England wearing them. So
hopefully we can pull out a third victory in a row.
That put us in the AFC Championship. What if we played in Jacksonville?
Oh my gosh.
I just hate that there's no chance that we could get that at home.
No, not with anybody that's left.
I mean, if we make it to the AFC Championship, I think we'll be fine, regardless of what happens.
I can't even imagine the type of reaction that would occur around Nashville if the Titans really did end up making almost like a Predators type playoff run from last summer.
There's something about this team, and I know the guys in the locker room have been saying it too. There's something special about them. They may not be the most talented guys, but I'd go to war for them if I played for them. I know that much.
And the funnier part is, too, that they seem like they are completely rallied around Mike Malarkey. It seems to me like he is their guy. He is who they want leading them into battle on every Saturday or Sunday that they play. You know, they want him to be their guy. And, you know, like we talked about last week, sometimes you don't want to go with what the players want first and foremost, but you really can't argue with the results that he's actually been bringing on the field.
And that's all you need to see when looking at the Titans. I mean, it's like you just said, what we said last week doesn't matter. It just matters what the players do and how they coach.
Well, my thing is, too, with this whole situation now that we have won, and that obviously Malarkey I think he only has 1 year left on his deal that we signed him to. So basically he's got next season guaranteed, as long as we didn't fire him, obviously, which we're not going to do now. So if you were John Robinson and Amy Adams, here's a scenario for you. Would you rather have Mike Malarkey go out this final season of his initial deal and force him to fire Terry Robisky and anyone else that you'd prefer that he get rid of, and try to go out and hire coaches for what could be a lame duck season, because most coaches and assistants are not going to want to go coach for somebody that might get fired the next year? Or would you give him a maybe, let's say, a 2 or 3 year extension based on what he's already done in 2 or 3 years here, and basically give him the ultimatum, get an all new staff, but now you should be able to entice the type of guys that we want around our organization, because most guys are willing to sign on for, 2 or 3 years is pretty long in the coaching tree life. So what would you do if you were in that given that decision to make?
If I'm making the call, I'm going to give Malarkey the extension and get the coaches that are going to help. I mean, it's just something about that, if we get an offensive guru in here, we'll be fine. The defense has been above average this year for the most part, but the offense hasn't been, and that's our one problem. And luckily for us, they were above average in the second half against Kansas City. So what would you pick of those two?
Well, really, there would be 3 options. The first one would be let him coach out next year with absolutely no changes, which I think would give a very strong fan backlash. So I definitely wouldn't do that. You've got to make some changes, and it's just whether the changes are going to come with or without an extension. And like I've already said, without an extension, no solid coach is going to want to come here with a guy that might be out of a job next year. Like, why would you want to put yourself in the situation to also be out of a job next year? So just understanding smart business, I would definitely, based on the 2 straight 9-7 seasons and now the playoff win and potentially more to come, who knows, I would give him at least a 2-year, maybe even a 3-year extension, and basically lay out to him, okay, this is who we think needs to come and who needs to go, and go out and chase the guys that we feel like could move us into the future as far as being here the next few years. Because if you are all in on Malarkey, you've got to be all in on his staff. And if there's anyone that you feel like is not part of that, you got to hurry up and get him out of here. Because if not, then you're not all in on Malarkey, because his staff is his staff. His offense is his offense. So anything that you don't support is just your lack of support for him. So you've got to, if you're going to stand with this guy, stand with him and get the coaches here that you want to be here with him. So I'd give him an extension, tell him go get some great guys, and we'd better see some results on the field pretty much.
Right. I definitely agree. I mean, you got to give him a kind of a big assistant coach's salary pool as well. If you pay assistants, they'll come regardless of where they are now. So,
well, my thing too is I think any young defensive mind that you could bring in, maybe replace a few different defensive coaches and bring in a really great young mind and just have him work underneath LeBeau. Maybe even be co-defensive coordinator or something, and just learn from him, kind of soak up that knowledge. And then whenever he wants to retire, you never want to force the legend to retire. Whenever he wants to be done, then he can be done. He's obviously proven that the defense that he coaches is still successful.
Right.
So let him ride it out however long that he wants to keep coaching, keep letting him do it. But I would definitely have someone kind of waiting in the wings. And I think he would understand that. I think he would be willing to mentor somebody, kind of give him some tips and tricks. I mean, what's he holding back for?
Exactly. And for all we know, Saturday could be his last game for,
you never know.
Titans or anybody.
I really don't think he's going anywhere else. I think if he's done here, then I think he's just done.
Right. I mean, he might just be one of those guys that he might just be end up being a defensive assistant. He might stay in the league for so much longer than he has been,
Yeah, I think the only thing that would hold him back as he gets older is just the stress and the your mind and in your body and everything just slows down the older you get. But man, he just seems to defy time.
But wait, there's more. Hang on to your seat, baby.
And now it is time for everyone's favorite segment, Atrocious Takes, presented by Ronald's Napkins. They clean your face. So, you guys know how it goes and we know how it goes. So I'll take this one first. I'm going to say that Marcus does something absolutely incredible. And he goes and he blocks James Harris. He cracks James Harris's helmet into 2 pieces. And then that would be it. The Titans would just automatically win because of that.
Well, probably the entire stadium would explode if any quarterback actually contacted James Harrison instead of the other way around. But my atrocious take for this weekend's game against the Patriots, I'm going to say that at some point in the middle of this game, it's going to be the turning point because I feel like it's going to be a time when the Patriots look like they're going to put us away. But this is the drive that's going to change the whole tone of things. So picture in your minds right now the famous play of Eddie George and Ray Lewis, where they meet in that huge collision near the sideline, and Eddie George runs Ray Lewis over. I'm picturing something like that going on in this game. Derrick Henry takes a downhill carry. He's rumbling and bumbling down the field, and much like yours, he meets up with James Harrison, absolutely bowls him over, and just keeps on going. I mean, this is going to be just like that Eddie George and Ray Lewis play. This is going to be one of those that they replay in Titans videos of all kinds for years to come. There's going to be one of those defining moments in this game. Bet on it.
Yeah, that's a really good one. That play is something my dad will remember that forever. That's a career and team defining play.
Yeah, hopefully we can get a few big moments that will move this franchise into kind of the territory where the Patriots were, 17 years ago. Maybe we're sitting on the doorstep with our young quarterback of being able to move into the next tier in the NFL.
Maybe that's what's got all the Boston sports writers so mad.
Maybe they see us. Maybe they see the Patriots of old in the Titans. Maybe we're that young upstart team that really didn't even deserve to be where they are, but they're there.
Man, I'm excited. I'm so excited to watch. I can't wait.
I think it's going to be – obviously, I think this is the most important Titans game this century, other than the Super Bowl, which was actually played like early 2000. But as far as this century Titans games, this will be the biggest game if we can actually pull it off. We pull this thing off, this is, I mean, it would be the end of the Patriots dynasty. For the Titans to put the Patriots out of the playoffs, it would be massive.
More importantly, it would indeed feel like 99.
Yes, it would feel like 99 again. We would be heading to the NFC Championship, and hopefully we'd be heading to Minnesota this time and playing in the Super Bowl against any number of teams. I think pretty much anybody that's left in the NFC right now could come out of the NFC right now.
It could be the Saints. It could even be the freaking Falcons again. But you know what? I'll take the Titans against anybody right now. It's like they're getting on that hot streak that they got on last year until Marcus got hurt. So hopefully he doesn't get hurt this year and they can continue on.
Well, that's going to be the big key to me with the rest of this season / off season. I think many of the problems that we've been having the past couple of years have been hurt by Marcus being hurt. You know what I mean? Not having full off seasons and training and like time with his receivers and stuff like that. Man, if you give him a full off season to get working and get healthy and be healthy going into next season and have more of a relationship with some of his receivers, man, I really, really think that we could be set for years to come. But I think that we completely failed to mention the block in Kansas City that Marcus had to seal the game on third down. Again, he keeps making these big plays when we need them the most.
It's an all-out blitz. No safety deep in the middle of the field.
So what would you do? Hand it off to Henry. Mariota blocks Henry. First down and more. Marcus Mariota in there to throw a block for Henry. They gave it again to Mr. Fourth Quarter. He has delivered the Titans into the next round of the playoffs.
They run a spread formation. They run a zone read. They do not block Frank Zombo until Marcus Mariota picks him up late. They run a zone read against an all-out blitz, and Marcus Mariota, for the second consecutive week, makes a physical play. You think his teammates don't have respect for him? What a performance by the third-year man out of Oregon. You know, Sean, when I met Mariota, I swear nothing bothers him. I tried to bother him, and I'm good at that. I could not bother him.
If he survived that,
you're down by 18. You're freezing. You're on the road. The media's on you. You're not playing good. Guess what? You're going to round 2.
He comes out here on this play for Derrick Henry, and he sets the edge for his running back. When do you ever see a quarterback go downfield and honestly open up the entire hole? It was almost like he was the pulling guard.
And not only was it wasn't one of those little, I'm just going to step in front of you and then step out of the way. This dude put his shoulder in the linebacker, I think it was the linebacker's chin, and pushed him a couple of yards. Like he wasn't gonna be denied.
No. And see, that's one of those things where it almost kind of reminds me of like how people have been talking about, Jalen Hurts in the national championship game. Some people have been kind of getting on him that he would be not necessarily like happy that he got benched, but like that he wasn't so upset, or that he was congratulating his teammate, or that he was still encouraging and being positive and everything on the sidelines. Like plays like that and players like that, you stay positive and you stay encouraging, and you don't care who gets the credit. I know that's one thing that, our former coach at Hendersonville, Coach Hatfield, he always said that. He's like, great teams and great players, like, they don't care who gets the credit. Like, they just go out there and they play and they do for the people beside them. They don't care if they get all the stats or who gets all the stats. As long as the team gets the victory, that's all that matters. And you can just tell that Mariota, like, it doesn't matter to him if he has 500 yards passing or 5 yards passing. If the Titans win, then he's set.
And, dude, I cannot believe Jalen Hurts is under any scrutiny about the way he acted. And, yes, he probably could have been mad or whatever, but so impressed with his maturity and just, like, be happy for the way that he acted. And that's the same kind of guy that Marcus is and always will be. So I've read stories, all kinds of stories about Marcus. He makes his hotel bed. He makes it, and his roommates, regardless who it is. He drove a undrafted free agent that we signed in minicamp 2 years ago, drove him 30 minutes out of his way, and the guy didn't even make the team. And I think that's all you need to know about Marcus.
He's just the epitome of a stand-up guy, and obviously we don't know a ton about Jalen Hurts. Obviously neither of us are Alabama fans or claim to be or anything like that. But you can just tell a lot about someone's character whenever they're facing adversity. And I don't think there is a more adverse situation than being a 3-year starter at Alabama and getting benched in your like third straight national championship game, and someone else comes in and takes your job. Literally, you have played so poorly that you no longer are allowed to be the starter. A freshman is going to come in and literally win your team the game, but you don't take a sad face. You don't, like you said, you don't make bad body language or say crazy things or whatever. You go out there and just keep clapping, be encouraging. I mean, you saw him on the sidelines. He would talk to him before every possession, like, you got it, like, you're good, and like go over stuff with him. Like, that's the kind of guy I would want on my team.
Absolutely, man. And whenever I get old enough to like have kids and start a family and whatnot, that's, dude, like the way he reacted to that was the way that like you should want your kid to. That's just unbelievable to me. It's crazy.
Well, I literally saw some people, like, I don't understand how you could even have this reaction, but they're like, I know I wouldn't be smiling or whatever on the sideline after I got benched. Like, that's just ridiculous.
It really is, and it's such a rare thing to see nowadays. I think that's why people were kind of, like not really outraged, but just put into like everybody has to have an opinion on it,
Well, I don't know what people wanted him to do. It was almost like people wanted him to be bitter and upset and throw his hands up and everything like that. But really, like, they would have been on him for that too. So it's like, you just can't win.
Exactly. Well, Drake, have we covered everything?
Yep, I think we've covered just about everything. We've touched on the Titans' victory over the Chiefs, talked a little bit about the national media reaction, and kind of how people maybe have turned the page a little bit on the Titans. Maybe, other than obviously all the New England writers, but that's just part of the course for all those people. And also maybe talked a little bit about how the Titans might, being the operative word, be able to pull out a victory in Foxborough and Gillette Stadium this weekend. So, you got anything else?
I think we forgot one thing. I don't remember what it was, though. Do you have any idea?
I feel like I have a vague idea of what that might be.
Might be what Adoree Jackson is going to do to Brandon Cooks. He's going to cuff him up. But you know what we wouldn't want to do? We wouldn't want to cuff you.
You've been listening to the Feels Like 99 podcast with Drake Kizer and Caleb Waters. You can find the podcast on Twitter at Feels Like 99 Pod.
You can find the Feels Like 99 podcast on our new website, feelslike99.wordpress.com. And you can find just about everything you need there. You can find the archives of the Feels Like 99 podcast on YouTube. If you search Feels Like 99 podcast, you can subscribe by hitting the subscribe button.
You can find my co-host, Drake Kizer, on Twitter at DrakeKizer_. You can find myself on Twitter at CalebWaters_14.
Tell a friend about the Feels Like 99 podcast. Could be a friend, girlfriend, boyfriend, Titans fan, Jags fan. Could be any of them, you know. We talk about more than just the Titans. We talk about it all on the Feels Like 99 podcast. It's a podcast for everybody, guys.
So, signing off for myself and my co-host, Drake Kizer. This is Caleb.
Thanks, ugly God. Thanks, ugly God. Thanks, ugly God. Thanks, ugly God.
We are always looking for fan questions. I know we haven't had that segment in a while, but if you listen to this far into the podcast, we are kind of desperate for some DMs, you know, some fan questions, you know. So thanks for listening.